Hello there, Reddit enthusiasts, and welcome to Woven Webs. Today we have a 39-year-old guy that writes in that his 28-year-old live-in girlfriend has a sugar daddy, and she's had him for some time. And he starts off, "So my girlfriend always worked a weird schedule, and I always felt like something was off, but I had to trust her. She worked like 2 days a week, Friday and Saturday from 1 until about 5. She told me she was doing part-time data entry at a real estate company. Now, even with this odd, reduced schedule, she'd call it off like once every 2 weeks. It just seemed off. So anyway, she's Japanese, and we're in Japan. I'm American. And we are considering preparing for our future in the U.S. eventually. Because her work was so odd, I asked her if she had pay slips. So she sent me a pay slip, and it was so obviously fake it was insulting. It said she was making about $600 a month. I asked her what the deal was, and then she said her salary is actually higher than many people based on the number of hours worked. She didn't want to tell me this because it looked suspicious, thus the fake payslip with a super low salary. So she claimed her salary was high, $2,000 a month, because she has worked for the company since it started. At this point, my senses are tingling because no small company just gives people free money. Anyway, after lie, she finally came clean and said that she's actually her married boss's sugar baby. The boss owns the company. And in Japan, a sugar baby is known as a papakatsu. She said that whenever she'd been, quote, going to the office, unquote, she'd in fact been going to the train station near the office, where he'd pick her up in his car, they'd go to lunch, then drive around for an hour, then he'd drop her off at the station. After which, she would window shop or go to the gym and finally come back home. He paid her $2,000 a month on the company's payroll for this. Mind you, he's married. They met because she accumulated massive credit card debt. I had no idea, and she started to work at a girls' bar. Also, I had no idea, about 5 years ago, and he was one of her clients. He offered her a job at his real estate company. She says initially it was legit data entry for about a year. But some of the workers noticed he was giving her special attention. So that's when he asked her to stop coming to the office, and since then it's been a sugar daddy situation. Now she claims it was never sexual, it was purely a lunch date situation for 4 years. Anyway, what should I do? Should I believe her that it was never sexual and forgive her? She's crying and begging for my forgiveness and swearing it was never sexual. What do you all think? And now for the comments, and they are quite consistent. Broad Sharp 2 writes, "You dump her, and you get her out of your life." Tasty Donut 9226 says, "She at no point has told you any of this. Why? Because she knows it's unacceptable. Get out of Dodge. You'll never believe anything she has to say, so don't draw it out." Trance 354 adds, "It's the dribble of truth from her. Each new admission is surrounded by lies." Anxious but breathing states, "She lied to you for 4 years. You gotta let her go. Even if you decided to stay with her, you would never be able to trust her going forward, so you might as well cut it off now." Meandering Duck writes, "It's not at all that relevant whether it was sexual or not. She still had a relationship with this guy for years. Emotional cheating is still cheating, and she clearly knew this was not acceptable in the slightest, given that she hid it for years, all the while lying about it to you. She came up with even more lies when you started to get suspicious. How would you even be able to ever trust her? What else has she been lying to you about?" Firefly 232 chimes in, "It does not matter whether there was physical contact. This was still an affair. She lied to you from the very beginning about who she was. She lied by omission about the girl bar job. This is not okay. How can you trust her again?" Forsaken Age 9185 writes, "Dump the prostitute girlfriend. This isn't her only, John, especially if she worked at one of those Japanese girl hostess bars. It's a bars where the girls are paid to hang out, drink, and host men to get them to buy overpriced drinks. Sex work is involved in the seedy ones." Swellen has an interesting point. "Does she pay rent? I'd be worried about the crying and the begging is about her losing her free place to stay. Maybe you're her sugar daddy too, and you just don't know it." Fact Check You writes, Sounds like she's a creature of comfort, bro. Someone who could always be tempted into making more money like this. Maybe not a person you want to hitch your wagon to. TMCHD writes, so the whole time you guys were together, she was cheating on you. Or was she cheating on her lover boss? It doesn't matter whether or not this is sexual. She's been in another relationship, romantic one, with her boss. It's not a job, it was a relationship. So you're basically kind of the other guy in her life, since she's been dating her boss for at least a year before you guys started to date. He's the first guy, you're the second one. Just saying. Sunshine Lucy writes, in regards to her driving around for an hour with him, yeah, right. Driving around for an hour, more like her riding for an hour. NC1264 writes, move on. Why are you even asking? The number of red flags here is infinite. Dura Ace 206 writes, have some respect for yourself. Do you really want someone like her in your life? She uses men, and she's most likely using and manipulating you too. Do not fall for her tears and lies. Esoteric Enigma writes, OP was basically her sugar daddy. He was paying all the bills while she only worked at a part-time job on the weekend and kept all of her money for herself. He's upset because he thought he was paying for exclusive access, but found out she had other customers. All right, Reddit listeners, what do you think? To me, it's interesting to run through a hypothetical in which she was in his life at this point going forward, where let's just say she did suddenly become truthful and she did suddenly give up that income. Exactly how is this going to work going forward in a healthy way? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I appreciate you listening.